Hey guys, we're here for our next session. We have Michael Feng, CEO of Hummingbot. He'll be doing a talk around how to measure and incentivize liquidity. Can you guys just put something in the chat and we can get started? And Michael, can you say something so they can confirm they can hear you?
Hey everyone, this is Michael, CEO of Hummingbot, and I'm really happy to be giving this presentation today.
You're good to go?
All right. Okay, sounds good. All right, so should I get started? Yeah? I guess that's a yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Hey everyone. Again, I'm Mike, CEO of Hummingbot. For a quick refresher for you guys who don't know who we are, so we started as a quant crypto hedge fund about 2 years ago. And then we kind of realized we're just more engineers at heart because we kind of like, we're mostly kind of like coming from like Silicon Valley startups like Apple and Nitro. And before that, my co-founders and I we spent a lot of time working in finance. So about a year ago, we open sourced our technology that we use for the hedge fund, open sourced it, and that became Hummingbot. Today, Hummingbot is one of the leading open source crypto trading frameworks out there. We have a vibrant community of algo traders and developers. Of course, the natural question people ask is, if you're an open source project, how do you guys make money? And so we're launched something called Liquidity Mining about 2 months ago. You can see Liquidity Mining in my shirt. And so it's been 2 months. We've collected a lot of data. So here, I'm really happy to be able to share that data with the public for the first time. And also then to walk you guys through how it works. And I'll do a little technical, like show and tell in the second half of this demo. So the first part of the demo, I'll just kind of walk you through exactly what it is, why we're doing it, and some of the data. And in the second part, I'll show you how it works, like with a hand by hand demonstration. Okay. In the meantime, if you have any questions, put it in the chat or in the Q&A box, and I'll read them out and answer them along the way. All right, so let's get started. So the liquidity is one of the most kind of like important things in crypto, and I think it's one of the things where once you have it, everyone knows what liquidity looks like. But when you don't have it, it's kind of like an empty place, and everyone kind of comes and everyone will just leave. So the question is, if you're a new market, if you're a new exchange or a new token for the first time, how do you actually get liquidity? So to answer that question, let me show you this picture. Does anyone know what this is? If you know what this is, please drop in the chat, and I'll wait a few minutes to see if you guys can guess what this is. Anyone? Okay, let's see if any guesses appear. Okay, well, so this is the original New York Stock Exchange. And the way it worked is it was basically a set of specialists who were these people who were making markets in different stocks. So at the time, one person would make a market in like General Electric, another one would make a market in something like Coca-Cola, for example. And then one day, these different market makers who were basically running their own merchant operations said, why don't we just instead of each operating our own operations, why don't we join forces and basically do our market making in one place? And so and that basically became the New York Stock Exchange. So the exchange is really just a set of market makers who are making markets in these different assets. So when you go to Binance or Coinbase and you buy or sell a stock, or I'm sorry, a token, you're buying and selling it not from another individual for the most part. You're buying it from usually a market maker, and a market maker is typically it's a hedge fund or some other type of entity running an algorithm that's constantly placing buy and sell orders on the order book, and then the algorithm helps the market maker kind of adjust it back and forth, and then that's how the market maker makes money, is via something called the spread. So that's just like how it started. But today, because in crypto we have over 20,000 individual markets. This number just keeps on rising. I think I was tracking over the summer, and it was 18,000. Now it's almost 22,000, and it increases every day because what this is every single trading pair on every exchange is a different market. So now that we have hundreds of different exchanges, we have new stable coins being created every day. The number of markets is increasing. And I think for crypto to realize its true vision, which is to be able to allow anyone to basically inject liquidity into anything, in the end game, there will be millions of markets potentially. So and what this means is that the market makers out there enjoy an undue amount of influence over the market. They can charge really high fees, and because both new exchanges and as well as new tokens who are getting listed all need to pay market makers. And that's why we estimate that today, market makers in crypto, the paid market making industry is about 1.2 a year. So these guys are obviously making lots of money. But that's also a problem, right? Because if you're like, we have lots of people trying to create new exchanges, and if they have to go out and pay these market makers lots of money, how are they going to actually get started? If you have a new token, how do you actually get liquidity you need for your users to actually go and transact that token? You also have to pay market makers lots. So essentially, the market making industry in crypto is kind of like, it's basically preventing new coins and new exchanges from being able to compete effectively with the folks at the top. And we felt that we're seeing this a lot because, especially in DeFi, this is a big problem. So the first thing we did to try to address this was open source our software. So Hummingbot is an open source algo trading client. We focus on market making and arbitrage strategies. Because we were a hedge fund before, we believe that it's a professional grade tool. And also, we also try to design it so that even though it's a command line application, you don't need to actually be a developer to use it. But it is designed to be very modular. And what that means is that external developers can write strategies. Other developers can write connectors to different exchanges. And these strategies and connectors can operate interchangeably, but they don't need to know about each other. So and then that allows the community to really increase the value of this over time. So in the past year since we open sourced, we've had about 14,000 installs. Today, our Discord community has over 2,200 algo traders and developers, and we've had 47 individual contributors to the project. But what's most exciting is that we've seen the modular approach that we've taken initially be justified. So, so some of the folks who've created individual exchange connectors in Hummingbot include Bamboo Relay and Dolomite. Recently, the Metronome project wrote the Kyber network connector into Hummingbot. Rupiah Token, which is an Indonesian stablecoin project, wrote the connector to HitBTC, and we're seeing community members write connectors to Bithumb and Biaxi. And because creating integrations to exchanges is one of the biggest bottlenecks, the biggest pain points for market makers. Everyone wants to create strategies. No one likes maintaining low-level API connectivity to hundreds of different exchanges that have all have a very different API. That's why we believe that having this open source approach, which allows anyone to contribute in the world and kind of create this kind of growing body of code that helps people do market making and arbitrage is really important. Oh, by the way, so yes, I'm gonna remove my face so that you guys can see the screen more better. Okay, awesome. Okay, that's much better. So because of that, so our goal, and this is like our business model, is really to kind of like create a marketplace, take a marketplace approach to liquidity. So instead of having like our issuers and exchanges, instead of them having a higher market maker, they can put up a set of rewards and incentivize a decentralized network to provide the same liquidity that a market maker has. And so we call that a liquidity network. And the way it works is we build the infrastructure that to different exchanges that can capture order book snapshots of every single order book all the time. And so once we have this order book data, then we can then verify whether a market maker's order is on the order book, how long it's there for, and also whether they're actually filling trades or whether they're actually not. And so because of that, we believe we can create a network where the exchanges are kind of the place where the data is, and we verify the data. And the issuers can then incentivize liquidity by putting up reward pools, and liquidity miners, who can be anyone, either a professional market maker or just individuals, can use their own assets to make markets and earn rewards based on that. So this is a pretty kind of like a new concept. But then, so this is kind of how it works. We basically take order book snapshots of different exchanges, and the whoever's orders are on the order book get more credit, and the more credit you get, it's based on the spread of your order. The tighter the spread, the better credit you get. The size of your order, so the bigger the order, the more credit you get, and then also how long the orders are on the book for, because you provide like liquidity. When you provide liquidity, you're basically providing option to the market, and therefore the option value is based on the duration, size, and spread. So because of that, because we have this kind of mathematical system in place, what it means is the liquidity miners who are providing liquidity are earning a fixed rate of return, whereas the issuers who are buying liquidity essentially get a commensurate reduction in slippage. If you're interested in the math, I welcome you to check out our white paper. You can kind of just search liquidity mining, and you can see it. But because this is a half-hour demo, I'd rather just show you how it works instead of going through the math, and that's what I'll do in the second half of the demo. So let's see. Let's see. Actually, let me take a question. I'll answer a question right now. There's one question in the Q&A session, and it says, what are my recommendations for anyone getting to DeFi and open source to make sure they're solvent? So I think the first thing is, I think a lot of things with DeFi is just because it's transparent and automated and decentralized does not necessarily mean it's safe. In fact, it's probably the opposite of that. So I think the first thing is for users in DeFi to actually understand the code of what they're doing. So unless you're a developer or you've gone through the white paper and understand the math behind what you're doing, don't do it. So once you have the system in place, let's talk about how it actually works in practice, right? So because if theory is a theory, what really matters is once we actually have it in production, how does it actually work? So before March, we kind of evangelized this concept, and we signed up Binance as a partner, KuCoin, Liquid, and ZeroX as exchanges. And on the issuer side, we started with 4 different issuers in Binance, and we have a long list of other issuers waiting for us to launch on other exchanges. So far, what I want to show you is kind of like the data we've collected over the first 12 months for these first set of issuers in Binance. So in the past, let's see, 2 months since we launched in May and March, we've had about over 200 distinct liquidity miners come in and try the system. It's been kind of increasing, week over week. We haven't done much marketing because we wanted to make sure the system is scalable before we really kind of go out and tell people about it. And right now we're still kind of like it's much better than it was when we launched, but we're still going through the stability issues. What's exciting is that a lot of users have been adding liquidity. So the liquidity provided by the system has been growing 40% week over week ever since we launched, especially in the last few weeks. Because what we saw was because the crypto market dropped heavily in the 3rd week of March, that was a very volatile period. And so people kind of were very nervous and uncertain during that period. But after the markets kind of calmed down, naturally people started to put more capital in. And so today there's over about $150,000 of liquidity at any given point in time provided by miners in our system. And another interesting thing is that we've actually seen the number of individual market-making bots go down over time, but the average dollar amount that they're deploying has gone up significantly. And we believe that's because a lot of the users who are in the retail users who came in and maybe lost a bit of money have left, but the top miners, the top liquidity miners who have figured out and these guys are tuning their strategies all the time. They're doing lots of research into how to kind of create better strategies, are actually making money. And because they're making money, they're injecting more and more of their own capital into the bot itself. So this is, I think, is pretty interesting. This is the distribution of spreads for our liquidity miners. So right now, you can see that we use an exponential decay function in order to incentivize people to set lower spreads. So the tighter your spread, the bigger portion of the rewards you get. And what's interesting is that miners in different token react differently. So you can see here that the Zcoin miners are taking a very different approach than the iExec and the Zilliqa miners. And that's because most of the miners are coming from the individual communities of these individual projects. So because they have different preferences, they express them in terms of the spread. I saw one comment, there's one question about Celo. So Celo is slightly different than what we're doing for other issuers. For Celo, I don't know, it's probably beyond the scope of this presentation, but Celo has a unique stability protocol that uses an automatic market maker. And because of that, they rely on arbitrage bots to stabilize the protocol by arbitraging the difference between where the Celo Gold, Celo USD price trades in their automatic market making exchange versus where it trades on centralized exchanges and elsewhere where they might list the GOD token. So we're building an arbitrage bot that allows anyone to basically provide that arbitrage. It's a natural fit because Hummingbot already ships with an arbitrage strategy, and so we're working with the Celo team to create a custom version that anyone can use to help provide stability to Celo. So we're really excited about that, but that should be out in about 1 to 2 months. So kind of back to liquidity mining, I wanted to make sure I get through the data so I can show you guys actually how it works. So this I think is really interesting because in the last 2 months since we started, our liquidity miners have filled about $20 million worth of trades in these 4 trading pairs. Now, $20 million, it sounds a big number, but what's actually meaningful is that the fact that the percentage of the total trading volume Binance our users have been filling has been increasing, week by week. So initially it was around 10%, and you can see right now, just on for these 4 trading pairs, our users are trading, are filling 30% of all incoming trades in that market. This is important because most professional market makers average between 20 to 25% of a trading pair's volume. And so in these trading pairs, there's only about 10 to 20 individuals. And what I think this is, we're kind of like starting to show is that a small number of individuals can effectively replace the job of a professional market maker if they work as a collective. So this is really exciting. And for us, this is kind of a bit of a validation that if we kind of extend this paradigm onto other exchanges and onboard other issuers, we can dramatically change how this market making industry works. So now with that, another 10 minutes. So now I'm going to go and show you guys how it works. Okay. Okay. So I am going to let me see. Let me show this, and then I am going to toggle this. Okay. Okay. Can you guys see my screen still? Okay. I assume that's yes. All right. So this is a bot that I have running right now. So this is a bot in the Zilliqa USDT pair. So you can see right now I've been running this bot for about 4 hours. It's done about 8 trades in that 4 hours. So I've actually made a small amount of money. Typically, when you're a market maker, you make a small amount of money when markets are normal, and you tend to lose money when the markets are very volatile. And there are ways that Hummingbot has to control against that, but that's basically how it typically works. So currently, I have 2 orders in the market. So I have 1 order here and 1 order over here. And so let's actually go and show you guys how that actually looks like in Hummingbot. So, oh, 1 second. Okay. Okay, so currently, this is what the interface looks like. So currently there are 105 active bots providing about $140,000 of liquidity. And I have a bot running in this market here. So we use Ethereum as the authentication and as well as a payment rail. So I'm gonna sign in with my MetaMask wallet. And then I can click on this market here to see what it's right now. So right now, this market is paying 64 rewards per day. this is actually divided into per minute increments. So every minute, there's like 4 or 5 cents available in this market. So you can see every minute we take an order book snapshot. It seems like the last 5-10 minutes, there's about 17 bots. So each bot right now, so currently in this snapshot, which was taken about 30 minutes ago, there were 29,000 total amounts of liquidity being provided. And of that, I had $62 worth of Zilliqa. And that's basically the two orders that you saw just now in my Hummingbot. So currently, so this is a distribution between ask and bid. You can see currently I'm actually setting my spreads a bit tighter than the average of everyone else in the market. So I'm around 0.7% spreads, bid and ask. Everyone else is around kind of like around 1%. And this is, so currently everyone in the last minute collectively made about 4 cents. And of that, I made about 0.01 cents. But over time, this kind of like, so over time, this is kind of like how it looks. So this week, I've earned about $5. Last week, I made about 10. And you can see here that, when we first started, this market was actually very easy to make money. But as we had more and more users join, the rewards that each person earned is lower based on the amount of capital they're provided. And that's a natural kind of like evolution of the market. And we expect that there's going to be an equilibrium rate that occurs for each market after time. I see many questions here. So let me just kind of show you guys one last thing, which is how to actually start running a bot, how to run a marketing bot. And I'm going to go and try to answer as many of these questions as I can. So let me go back 1 second. So now I want to show you guys how to actually start and run a marketing bot. So I'm going to share my terminal window again. Interesting. Terminal window. Okay. I'll have to do this later, but unfortunately, I actually, I'll just answer questions then. Unfortunately, I can't find my terminal window anymore. Because I wanted to show you guys how to actually create and run a market making bot. It's actually pretty simple. You can just go to Hummingbot. We have an extensive kind of quick start section, as well as a great support team that walk people through it. But generally speaking, you just download it, and there's a kind of this walkthrough process, which you answer a few questions, you connect your API key, and then that's how it goes. So
hey, Mike, if you want to try going into your terminal, you can actually do it, or you can answer questions, whatever you.
Oh yeah, I think there's actually a bug in Crowdcast because like it's not giving me the option anymore. Like I don't see my terminal in the
so
share
you have
screen.
To share your screen again, because it's closed out.
Oh, okay. I know what I'm saying is like I don't see my terminal when I click on application window anymore.
Okay.
It's not one of the options, so I'll just answer the questions. There's actually a bunch of questions here, and I think I would say because of how complex the subject is, it's probably better if I just answer questions instead of do a show and tell.
Cool.
Okay, so there's a lot of questions. So there's the first question was on Cello. Cello is an arbitrage bot, as I mentioned, so it's a bit separate, but we are going to be launching that as part of our open source code base in a few weeks. Second question. Does a market maker have to be quoting two-sided markets to earn rewards or just one side? That's a great question. So the way it works is that every minute, there's about 4 cents or 5 cents of rewards. We split that 50-50 between the ask and the bid side of the book. We always do that because we want our projects to incentivize two-sided liquidity. And so we mandate that to ensure that they're not trying to push the price around one way or the other. And so as a market maker, it's your choice. You can set one side or two sides. But if you set one side, you only have a chance to earn half the reward that's on one side of the book. Is there a minimum size one needs to quote to earn rewards? No, it's all percentage based. So currently we show the yield per day as a kind of the representation of the return on our app, and that just means that whatever amount of capital you deploy on the order book, you're making that percentage in terms of rewards on a daily basis. So it's all linked to how much capital you spend. And this is actually one of the things we're trying to do so that anyone, regardless of how much capital you have, you can participate as a market maker and earn rewards based on that. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to answer a few more questions. Do you see people in DeFi providing liquidity on exchanges like Uniswap for its own sake, or as part of a larger strategy to pursue yield in terms of exchange fees? I think we just need more liquidity providers, as well as more places like Uniswap that make it easier for the average person to provide liquidity. So Uniswap and what we do is kind of like we're kind of orthogonal because Uniswap is a venue itself, and it makes it super simple for anyone to deploy liquidity. Hummingbot is not a venue. We work with venues and issuers who want to incentivize liquidity, and using Hummingbot is definitely harder and probably more challenging than using Uniswap. But Hummingbot is also kind of like more customizable, because as a market maker, you can change your strategy, you can create your own strategy, you can do whatever you want. And so we're taking a different approach to Uniswap, but in my opinion, we're on the same side, because what we're trying to do is help small projects and new projects get liquidity without having to spend a lot of money for it. Does the market maker have to be quoting near or at the best bid and offer at a certain venue in order to earn rewards? No. So the way it works is we work with our issuers and exchanges to set a maximum spread. So the maximum spread for our markets today is 2%. So if you set your spreads lower than 2% in either direction, so 2% on the ask side and 2% on the bid side, you're going to earn something. However, how much you earn is based on a exponential function. So it's kind of like the closer you are to the mid price, the more proportion of the rewards you earn, and it's a pretty steep exponential decay curve. So that's why the yield that we show is kind of like if you set the average spread, how much you make. But if you set tighter, you're going to earn a higher rate. If you set wider, you'll earn a lower rate. What would be some resources to dive into different strategies? Yeah, so on Discord, the Hummingbot documentation has a lot of information on different market making strategies. So the basic one that people use is called pure market making, but there's about 20 different parameters that people use to essentially customize their actual strategy. So you're not running a black box. Instead, Hummingbot is kind of like a tool that helps you basically create your own strategy. And yes, we have plenty of tutorials. YouTube is walkthroughs. Actually, I can show you just a really quick one of that right now. 1 second. So yeah, so we on our website, Hummingbot, we have a lot of videos and walkthroughs, because we know that getting this up and running is challenging. So there's videos on how to install Hummingbot on different environments like Windows and AWS. There's videos on how to sign up for liquidity mining, as well as interviews with market makers, as well as tips on how to get started. In addition, we also have a lot of documentation. So our docs have a quick start guide, as well as installation and different information on strategies. So I think I'm running near the end of this talk, but I'm really glad to be able to share this with everyone. If you have any more questions, please join our Discord. It's discord.hummingbot.io, and I'm always on it. You can always ping me personally.
Yeah, this was fantastic. Do you mind actually sharing the YouTube videos and also links to your docs just in the chat?
Oh yeah, of course. So let's see, here are probably the great videos. Let's see, videos. And then I think I'll also put a quick start guide here, because I think that's probably the other thing that's probably easiest for people to get started with. Okay, so yeah, so there's a couple of resources for people to get their feet wet. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, perfect. We're going to switch to the next session. Once you guys hear us, just confirm and we'll be able to get started.